All right, everybody, we are live here at the Live Well at Fish, North Georgia, sponsored by Digital Sportsman. Guys, over the next couple of weeks, you guys are going to hear a lot about Digital Sportsman as we kind of change our intro a little bit to bring them on. But just to give you a brief synopsis, Digital Sportsman is a time-saving, all-in-one booking and management platform built for outdoor enthusiasts by outdoor enthusiasts. And they're going to be going live at ICAST. So I'm going to be down at ICAST with them. So over the next couple of weeks, you'll see a little bit of change here at the beginning, but we very much appreciate Digital Sportsman coming on and sponsoring the Live Well here. So big thanks to them. And got a great show for you guys tonight. I'm glad to be back. We'll talk about where I've been a little bit later on. But we've got Paul Bourcq. And the way he told me to pronounce it was Bourcq as in cork. Ain't that what you said?
Yeah, pretty close.
Bourcq as in cork. With Rather Outdoors, this guy has got a great story, fished all over the world, been heavy in the marketing. So if you guys are watching or listening tonight, especially with social media and all that, you guys need to pay attention to tonight's episode. So with that, we're going to take care of our business first, as we always do. And Clint, talk about our fine sponsors.
Yeah. Hope everybody's doing well tonight. I'm excited for this episode of the Live Well. So let's rock and roll. We got Trent Palmer and the boys with Sonar Pros. That's where I get my boat rigged. It's where we all get our boats rigged because that's where the pros go. Go to Trent. I'm actually taking my boat there Thursday night. So get a little scopage put on and cleaned up, and it'll be a good time. So next up, we got Kevin Underwood with Lipsticker Fishing. If you want to go catch some big old spotted dogs out on Lake Lanier with Kevin, he's an awesome guide. He'll put you on some big giant fish, and then go subscribe to his Patreon. That's where he's giving out all the juice and knowledge over there for a good price. So go check that out over there and go support him. Evolve Fishing, the best rod sleeve in the game. It doesn't get hooks in it. It floats. You got a tip protector. You can put 25 of them in the boat and it doesn't weigh your boat down. It's really nice rod sleeve. They also make a bunch of other stuff like little tackle bags, reel covers they had that just came out, all kinds of cool stuff. So definitely go check them out. Cool company over there. Money Saver Lure Retriever. This little torpedo is a little torpedo of fun that will get your money back. And so what you do, you slide this little torpedo down the line and it will get your bait back out of brush piles. You know, Lanier is notorious for brush pile fishing this time of year. This will get your jerk bait, your fluke, your shaky head, your drop shot, whatever you got. Your big giant clutch darter. You don't want to lose that one. So send the Money Saver Lure Retriever down and get it back. Bill Payne Guide Service, the living legend. He's been around a long time and he's always here for a good time. So go out, go learn some knowledge. I mean, he definitely has all the knowledge and more than we'll probably ever know. And so he's seen it all from beginning to end. And here we are. Go out there and get a trip of a lifetime with Bill Payne. On the younger side of things, we got Brooks Anderson Fishing. He is a young gun that has really accelerated his career through teaching other young guns out there. He'll take anybody. He's been out catching a bunch of fish lately. He's spun up on tournament fishing. He's doing it all. Just go check him out over there at Brooks Anderson Fishing. Then we also got Big League Charters. Robert Blusky up in Knoxville, Tennessee. Go give him a shout. Go fishing if you want to go up in Knoxville, Tennessee. Sorry, I'm ripping sponsors. Trying. It's like
you're doing a great job. I threw this on you without notice. You're doing great.
You're good. But Rob's an awesome guy. He's fishing the NPFL, and you follow right now in some dirty water. But if you want to go fish in Tennessee, Tellico, Fort Loudon, Watts Bar, Chickamauga, it's a good time. So go check him out, and he's a ton of fun to fish with. So get out there with him. And then Fishers of Hope. These guys are always after giving back to the community and supporting good faith in the community. And their mission is to glorify God and be servants of his word. And they really show that with what all they've done in this community. So definitely go check them out. They're really good people over there. And they're just out there to help those in need.
Hey, I'm training you on the job. The job. You did good. You did good. You'll get there like that. Hey, guys, if you want to advertise here on the Live Well that's got the most, I would say, cult-like viewers, all right? The
they're
people,
faithful.
They're cult. We have a cult here. You think it was a
We
cult?
got a cult viewer that's coming on the show tonight.
There we go. So email me, Danny at fngo.com, and we can see if we can put something together for your company to help your company grow, as well as, of course, help us here. And the people that watch this show, I will say, and Alex, I think you'll agree with me, are some of the most loyal followers we got there. It's an expanding group that's watching us. And generally, when we say, hey, you need to buy this or throw this, they do it.
Yes, they do.
They absolutely do it. So with that, we took care of business.
Hang on, one more taking care of business thing.
Yeah.
Alex, put it on you.
Oh, Alex.
On me.
Oh, Alex.
All right, Danny, now you got to sing him happy birthday.
No.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Alex. Happy birthday to you. And I hope your wife takes care of you when you're home.
Oh, my God. Danny.
There you go.
That's fair.
21 never felt so good.
How old?
21.
Bullshit. So anyway, but happy birthday to you. All right, guys. So yeah, y'all heard that. Let's check. Y'all heard that. It was terrible singing. Christopher Henry, Doc Holliday, Nutski, Tony, Thad Moody. Yeah, guess who's back? Tell a friend I am back. Jimmy Adair. Hey, that's a new name since I've been gone. So Jimmy, appreciate you joining us. Tony, Fred, Eddie, Doc. You know, you know who we forgot? You know who we forgot? Thank you, Doc Holliday. Right behind me, Turner Tire, 706.
Both times last week.
Did you?
So bad.
Oh, Turner Tire, 706-253-3339. If you are in the Jasper, Georgia area and you want a quality tire, alignment, brakes, those kind of things for your car from a fantastic family-owned business, Bourcq and the crew up there at Turner Tire will take care of you. And Bourcq, I can't help that my crew forgot about you. No, it's tough because that's when we don't have the overview right there. So that's a tough one to remember. But anyway, guys, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to bring Paul on here in just a second. It is good to be back. Puerto Rico was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun there. Your hat's fire. What hat you got on today? Clutch swim bait right there.
Josh.
Tony Watkins, Danny, don't forget my jigs. Tony, all right, look right here. I am making a note right now. My Lord, I've forgotten this man's jigs forever. So anyway, Tony Watkins jigs. So I won't forget about them. But I'll probably forget. So Tony, make sure you text me tomorrow. But anyway, it's good to be back. I missed you guys. And even though we had a lot of fun in Puerto Rico chasing snakes and mojitos and fishing for tilapia with Pepsi bottles and all that, we had a great time, but it's always good to be back. The guys all did a fantastic job holding the fort down while I was gone. 3 episodes that I didn't have to worry about. So thank you. And Tony and all you that are watching out there. Messick Outdoors, did you find out anything on the hybrid bass in Clarks Hill? So pull up Paul. Let's bring Paul in. He might know this too. I'm gonna say this to everybody. So let's bring Paul in. Paul, how you doing tonight?
Boys, how are we doing? I'm good.
We're doing good. And I know we got a bunch to cover on you, but there is a question. We had a post. There was a post in Clarks Hill. Maybe you can lead into kind of know something about this. A guy caught a bass that looked like a spot and kind of a large, it was just kind of funky looking. And it had a lot of the characteristics of a spot, but it looked so different. They went and got it genetically tested. And the genetics came back that it was either 48% F1 largemouth and 52% spotted bass, or vice versa, one of the two. But it was an F1 and spotted bass combo. Now, first of all, I didn't realize that spots were hybridizing with largemouth. We knew about them with smallmouth. But also, my question is this. If it was F1, wouldn't the genetics have come back northern, a little bit of northern bass, a little bit of Florida bass, and then spotted bass? Does that sound right? You know anything about that?
Yeah, I'm not a scientist, but I play one on TV, so we can talk about
it. There you go.
No, I'm joking. So as far as I know, and there's somebody that'll probably get this right, but an F1 is a Florida strain and a northern strain. It's hybrid.
Yep.
And spotted bass are a separate species entirely from
yeah.
It's the same genus, separate species. So I'm going back to 7th grade, and that's been a minute, but I don't think they're I don't think they're compatible. But
well, that's kind of thing. So we know that a spot will hybridize with smallmouth because we've got that problem here, and they're called mean mouths. Mm-hmm. But I didn't realize with the largemouth that they could. But Messick out there, I'll still look into it. Today was my first day back at the shop, and I was busy. I'll be honest with you, but we'll look into it. So if any of you guys know out there, yeah, I know you talked to a biologist, and He said, what did he say?
He said that F1s are technically hybrids themselves.
Yeah.
So in his thoughts, it would be a variation of a mean mouth.
Yeah, I guess so. We'll look into it, Messick Outdoors, though we will. Paul Leslie Bachman says hello.
Hey,
I guess you know Leslie.
that is my mother.
Oh my Lord, we got to be on our best behavior.
Hilarious.
Your mom was watching tonight.
She heard this, I assure you. Plus, she had to raise me. So,
Well, Leslie, I'm sorry, and listen, do not hold him responsible for anything that gets said tonight. It is all Clint's fault. So, Clint, I said that you were going to kind of do
Okay,
the.
my mom's probably watching too, Paul.
Hey, if your mom's, hey, what did your mom send up here?
Oh, she sent them dirt daubers. It's like a little
Dude.
yeah.
So
legit.
if Clint's mom's watching, that stuff he got the thumbs up from me. That stuff was absolutely awesome. So anyway, I said that since you and Paul go back a little ways,
Oh yeah.
I'm going to let you do the introduction tonight to tell everybody out there watching a little bit about Paul, and then we'll get into the conversation.
We got Hunter Jenkins in the chat too.
Uh-oh.
So I got Paul on, and I'm excited to have Paul on because Paul's the whole reason we've freaking got into this industry in the first place. So, Paul, I want to know, back in the day, what got you into fishing, and just like what was like some of the first bites you remember back in the day that really got you hooked into this game?
Oh, I've never been accused of not being willing to talk. I'm trying to make it short. All right, I'll break it up a little bit. First few bites I remember, and then we can talk about fishing. So I have a picture of me holding up a bunch of, I'm from Louisiana originally, what we call gaspagoo. You know what that is? Clint does. Danny, you know what a gaspagoo is?
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is.
You don't know what Gasper is?
Come on now.
No.
Freshwater drum. Come on, man.
Drum.
Oh, no. Okay, shit.
I wasn't super duper young. I was probably, I don't know, 10, 11, 12, somewhere in there. But I was on this place called the Jafuncta River, the Jafuncta River. It's a Louisiana spelling. It's got a lot of vowels and consonants. Anyway, I heard that there was these fish in there, and I was reading this magazine, and they talked about the fish eating crawfish. And I was like, yeah, cool. Like, I don't have crawfish. So I went and bought like a pound of boiled crawfish and rigged them up on a Carolina rig and started schwacking these giant drum, like 15, 16, 17 pounders. And they were freaked out. Like, I couldn't believe I was catching them. So I remember that early on is like getting some intel, getting a breadcrumb trail, and then like catching these big ones. That's memorable and sticks out. And then, one other story that's probably what you're thinking about if I know you, but we'll see how I do, is in college. I was a freshman in college, so I was 18 or whatever. And I had to take a PE class, and I took fly fishing because I didn't want to take art history because that sucks. And when I went out there, long story short, I asked this guy, I saw him we're on the Tuckasegee River, which Clint knows well, by Jack the Dipper by Western Carolina University, where it used to be. And this guy was catching a bunch of trout. I was flailing around like Helen Keller out there. I couldn't hit the earth with a fly rod. And I walked up to this dude and was like, hey, like, show me, you're catching them. I'm not. Like, give me the intel. He's like, gives me this kind of like puffy, like, son, you're just going to have to put your time in. I was like, damn, cuz, I'm putting my time in. I'm out here, dog. Like, let's talk about it. He's like, you're just going to have to figure it out. So I remember thinking like, oh, cool. Like, that sucks. But that, like, swear, like that in my brain, I said, if I ever get the opportunity to not suck at like something, whether it be fly fishing or whatever it was, I will teach anyone I know anything I know, because I don't want to be that dude. And that kind of
absolutely
spark in me, and then the rest is history. But those two things stick out as like moments where, the first one where I figured something out and caught bigs, and then the second one was where I was like, you suck, and then got motivated about it.
Yeah, I hate people like that.
Oh yeah.
I hate people like that when they do that. You should always be willing to teach. Yeah, I mean, granted, you need to spend time on the water. I got it. But you always should be willing to help somebody out. And how old were you when that happened? You said, was it college?
Yeah, I was 18. I mean.
Yeah, still, you should always be. It doesn't matter if you're 75 or whatever. When did you meet Clint? That's the question I want to know. When did you two get together?
You were an intern first, right?
Yep.
Who introduced us?
All right. So I'll tell the.
I just remember you
front end
showing up.
one.
I'll tell you my.
Yeah.
You do your part, and I'll go.
Do
Mine.
y'all keep it clean
Yeah.
for your moms though.
Yeah.
I'll say I might give you some of those, but I'll keep it clean-ish.
So I was going into my last semester of college, and I needed an internship real bad, something serious. And I was like looking at my professors were like, you can go work at this golf course. And at the time I was filming real estate, weddings, making some videos, making some little fishing videos on my own YouTube or whatever. And I was getting my feet wet, like flying the drone, doing all the stuff to like get my feet wet in the filming industry, but I was still real green. And so I was in Dreamcatcher's Fishing Supply, and old Austin Neary was in there, and he's like, dude, you need to hit up Paul. And I was like, who's Paul? And then he was like talking about Paul filming all over the world and all this stuff. And he's like, you need to hit him up. Like, here's his number. So timeline wise, this is October, right? So this is in October. And by Christmas, it was like the December 24th was my deadline to have an internship. So this is like October. So I send Paul a big long text or whatever, nothing. I give him a call, nothing.
Oh, he was
like
ghosting you?
A couple weeks go by, nothing. So I wrote in Dreamcatchers again. It's like middle of November. I'm like, I never got a hold of him or whatever. He's like, oh, he's hard to get a hold of. Like, try to hit him up. And I'm like, okay. So tried another long text, sending him an email, nothing. Add him on Facebook, never added me back. And I'm like, oh God, like I'm just trying. And so at this point, I'm like exploring a bunch of other options, right? Like I'm like, there's no freaking way. And then so it is December 23rd, and I just get a random text at like 9 p.m. on a Monday. And Paul's like, hey, I looked at your stuff. Let's chat tomorrow or something. And I'm like, okay, what time you want to call? No text back. I'm like, all right. So it's Monday, and I just call him. I'm just like, all right, let me just call him and see if he'll answer. So he answers, and we talk, and we back and forth. And he's like, all right. He's like, oh, I got Frank Crescatelli coming in town here in like 2 weeks. He's like, you start then. And it was balls cold, so cold outside. And we were filming with Frank on Chattooga, and then we went trout fishing and filming all kinds of other stuff. I've been filming on a little DSLR this whole time, and he slaps this giant FS7 over my shoulder and is like, all right, here you go, kid. You got it. He's like, here's the red button. Make sure you're in focus. You're good. And I was like, well, how do you do that? At first, like in my head, I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I was like, I'm just going to record. We just figured it out. And so like that, from that moment on, he was like, I was like, I went from filming real estate and hating my life editing wedding films to I'm filming a fishing show, and with a camera I don't even know how to use that's hanging over my shoulder, and just freezing in some waders somewhere in the middle of Georgia where they're catching giant trout. And it was a good time. And so that was my first experience getting to meet Paul.
That's awesome. That's the way to do it, though. Just throw your ass out there to the wolves and say, let's go.
Jump in head first with a flat tire.
100. Yeah, I get it. So he told me, excuse me, Clint told me he was showing me, all the places that you've worked and some of the companies that you've worked for. So instead of me repeating, maybe you can just give your resume. That'd be easier like that. Some of the companies, some of the highlights of your resume.
Yeah. So, what we're talking about was Drift Media Production. So it was my company. We did media and marketing stuff and hunting, fishing, and shooting, and did a lot of stuff, with that. So we worked with, all kinds of clients like Hornady and Mossberg, and we did a bunch of Peltor stuff. We did a whole bunch of fishing stuff. We did stuff for Power Pole. We did stuff for, we worked with Hook back in the day when they were first starting, and Nomad, and I don't even know, a ton of folks.
Right.
And that ultimately led down the road to more clients and bigger stuff. And then, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point, but then Black Rifle that I spent, 5 some years at, and then ultimately circled it all kind of back around to fishing now at Rather Outdoors. So been all over the place. We did shot a show for Meat Eater called Das Boat for 3 seasons, which I'm real proud of. Clint worked on that with me too. So, it's a lot to go. Like it's, 10 years of work in a minute's a lot to kind of wrap up, but it's cool. Yeah. And nobody's separated by more than a phone call or two in the whole game, to be honest with you. So I think backing up a little, I want to say one thing about Clint. I'll remember some of that I didn't know. I didn't know I was ghosting you. I apologize, but I'm not shocked. It wasn't on purpose, I'm sure. But
you're busy.
Clint rolled up in my office and was like, so I was like, hey man, what do you want to do? And my style is like, go do it. I think I say to my team all the time, like, I want progress, not perfection. Like, let's just get out here and get after it, you know? And he said, I want to be a cameraman for MLF. And I remember one of the first things I told him was, no, you don't. That's not what we're doing.
Right.
And he was like, well, could you call them? Do you know them? I was like, absolutely. I could call them and make it happen, but that's not what you want to do. I promise you. Like, that is all the love for all them boys at Bassmaster and MLF and PFL. That is a hard ass job. And I don't want any part of it. And I knew Clint did not want any part of that either. But
no.
Shout out to them. They're tough.
That's funny. That's what you wanted to do? You wanted to be a cameraman?
Well, so the only reason I would watch MLF is because Brandon Polnick was on MLF at the time.
Yeah.
And so, like, that was the only reason I watched it. And so I was like, I want to film Brandon Polnick one day.
I get that.
And then what's pretty cool and full circle is my first film with Brandon Polnick with Yamaha drops tomorrow. So
there you go.
Pretty cool full circle here.
That's how it works right there. So with that saying, we Cass, Pauline, what's up, Cass?
Pauline.
I'm sorry I missed you, Cass, the other day.
Comment, son.
By the way, Cass, while I got you, I need you to record me so I can put it on loop. You talking about sweet tea. Because when I got home, my daughter said, first of all, my wife was saying Chaz, and I said, it's Kaz. But she said that your voice, she wants to fall asleep to your voice every night, just talking about sweet tea. It is a little creepy, but you know,
a little bit.
Hey, she said he's just got that country voice like that.
So to record my voicemail message.
Yes. You think that's what we need to do?
This is Paul Rather Outdoors. Hit me back in a couple minutes. I'm probably somewhere else.
Hey, say. This is Danny at Fish North Georgia. I'm out chasing Becky's right now.
Hey, y'all, it's Danny with Fish North Georgia. I'm hitting Becky's on the other line. Call you later.
That would be perfect.
He said, whoa. I said, oh, shit.
Hey, she ain't the crazy that you've been used to, Kaz. It ain't that crazy. She just likes your voice right there. So straight off the clearance rack. All right. So, you know, I'm going to ask you this question because, you know, we've established that you've been in the game a while. Mm-hmm. How is social media and media and marketing in general changing in the fishing industry right now compared to, say, 5-10 years ago? You've been in the game for a bit now.
Man, that's loaded.
It is loaded.
All right. Media and social media. I mean, that's kind of two different things, but
let's do social media first.
All right. So social media, you know, is certainly getting harder. So there was a period in time when we'll say, and it's not that long ago, we're going to say 6 years ago, where you could roll up with a channel or whatever it was, and you could do some common things. Like you could pick a clear hook, like figure out what makes you different. You could show some personality. You could be consistently, I don't know the word, useful or something, entertaining, and kind of send it and grow like crazy, right? It was easy. Well, then algorithms change, things change. That's a whole nother conversation. It's gotten consistently harder and harder and harder and harder to grow your channel. Now, simultaneously, so let's leave the growing the channel thing on the side. Then you're talking about companies. So then you have to figure out basically in that same time, you have this new publishing thing, which is social media, that people have a hard time, even to this day, understanding what's it worth? How do I value this thing? And there were folks, you know, certainly won't call them out, but that run major companies that 4 years ago were saying, I don't know if social media is a thing. I was like, brother, like you would better pay attention here. So I think it was a combination of, you know, the unknown and then also learning what it's worth. And then now it's kind of coming full circle where it's like guys have huge pages, but there's this kind of like ad fatigue in the industry and people are still unsure of how to activate it or what it's worth. And they're not getting paid like they should probably. Some people got rich on it. Some people didn't, but it's been wildly unstable and it's been changing like crazy. You know, it's 20 years ago, you needed, at least on the fishing side, you needed a good stable of pros and some commercials and a TV show that was solid and sponsor Bassmaster, and you're off to the races. And that ship sailed a long time ago. So,
yeah, I'm learning that right now.
stuff.
We're definitely learning. We talk about it, it's tough. And, you know, you mentioned about the value and all that, you know, now that we have companies approaching us and all that, it's hard to value what you do because it does change so much. And then a lot of these pros now are struggling to get sponsors because the money's going to the YouTube or the social media influencer and all that. And that's been a huge thing last 3 or 4 years, you know, that it's changed like that. Got a question for you from Eddie Krauth.
Yeah.
What's your favorite and least favorite type of fishing to film, as in bass fishing, fly fishing, marlin? What's your favorite and what's your least favorite?
Oh man, I'm kind of weird. I'm gonna dig on Clint a little bit because I know Clint. Here's where Clint and I are different. You ready for this, Clint?
Let's hear it.
This sounds lame, but I didn't care to fish when I was there. So I was always just happy to like be there filming. Clint still likes fishing a little bit because he's a bass guy, you know, and he likes bass fishing. I was always, I don't know if I have a favorite or a least favorite. To me, it was work. So I was happy to be there. And I knew that there was other options. Like I'd put reefs on in July before, and that sucks a whole bunch.
Yes.
I'll tell you, I'll break it up like this. The hardest I ever filmed, fly fishing for permit. And I think fly fishermen put permit on a pedestal. That's probably another conversation, but they are hard to catch on a fly rod. And with all these fly fishing films and all this fishing stuff, the secret's super easy. Like get topwater eats. That's the secret. Mm-hmm. And to get those, you need end trigger. And back in the day, we didn't have end trigger, right? So that end trigger means like I can be rolling all the time. And then when it happens, I hit record and it goes back like 10 seconds or whatever, and I get the bite. So it used to be you have to just roll the whole time, whatever. Anyway, so the hardest is that probably like trying to get a fish that you know is tough to catch because you know you're going to, like when I was in Africa on the tigerfish thing, we filmed a lot before we got the first bites. My favorite type of fishing to film, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. Really, I like it when there's a story because that's easier. Like humans are easier to predict than animals. So for me to kind of shift it up, like the fishing I'm not super worried about. Like I can keep an eye on tides and I can keep an eye on bites and different things like that filming. My favorite thing to film is when there's some sort of story happening with the humans. And I think that we all get real caught up and like have to catch the fish, or film the fish catch. And that's less important than we think sometimes.
You know who he sounds like?
Who's that?
Josh.
Yeah.
So my partner here is a professional cinematographer. And that's what he's done his whole life and everything he does. Can you still hear us? You froze up a little bit on the screen.
Yeah.
Okay. So we still got you. Okay. So one of the big things with him is story, and it's all about the human connection and everything. We went to Puerto Rico to film peacock bass fishing. We didn't film any peacock bass fishing because we got caught up in the cultural aspects of going into Comaria up in the mountains and everything. And before we know it, we're chasing snakes. We're at a Hebrew festival, which is Spanish for redneck, country boy. So we ended up doing that. We're talking to the mayor of the town and his political rival about the political aspects. And we did a little bit of fishing, but everything just kind of everywhere we go, you get that story. And that's kind of like, that's the way we went with it. So, you know, that was important. And also I told Clint this, I was sitting down with the mayor and we doing a little drinking, me and the mayor. His English was choppy, but we were having a good time. The next day I got told that you can't be drinking around the mayor anymore. And I'm like, why? He said, well, you looked him in the eye and said, I hate politicians.
Hey, that's a fair assessment. And he probably does.
Yeah, but I did that, you know, so, but you have to, I get the story aspect, and that's kind of the project we were working on in Puerto Rico is to do that. And I think too, maybe you can chime in on this. I tell a lot of guys that come in there that the first thing they ask is, how do I do my YouTube channel? And I'm like, well, I'm by no means an expert because, you know, we do some video, but we're a lot of podcasting. But in podcasting, you got to make the connection with the viewer. and a guy that listens to you. And if you make that connection, now you've got somebody that will do that. And they'll come in and they're wanting to, should I fish this? Should I do that? I'm like, well, first thing, no matter what you do, is you got to connect with the people that you want to watch, which kind of involves storytelling a little bit. They've got to make that connection. And you're talking about going off and filming. You like the story because you're making that human connection. And then the fishing just happens to, I can understand why you enjoy that, because that is the best part of all of it.
Well, and we can get into fishing later, but like filming, you go through journeys, fishing, you go through journeys too. Like you want to catch a fish and the most fish and big fish, and then you want to fish your way. Filming's that way too. Like you want to get like epic stuff, and then you want to get the top water eats, and you want to get this and that. Like over the last, I don't know how many people are listening. I'll give you the juice on it. If you're a filmer, you're a marketer, this is what I think matters over the last 10 years of making interesting content and selling a bunch of stuff. First, if it doesn't, I'm trying to articulate it well, if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. So emotional relevance beats cleverness every time. I've seen tons of brands trying to be clever, trying to be cool, trying to do the thing, like be the cool kids club. That's fine. If it doesn't resonate, it doesn't matter. Number two, I found this to be true. Be consistent or get forgotten. Like if you keep changing, you don't have a voice at all. So like own it, right? The other thing is I don't know how to say it. Don't sell the product, sell what it unlocks. People don't buy gear. If you really deep down for sustainable like business, and this is real talk, people don't buy gear. They buy moments, they buy identities, they buy belongings. Like that's the level up. And the last thing, and this is something I work on every day, and I'm not an expert on it, and I fail all the time doing it, but loyalty, which is the most important thing, it is earned in the gaps between buying transactions. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we're all focusing on sell this, sell that. Like, well, I work for Strike King, so I can't do this. Or what about a mega bass this? Or like, listen, we're all fishermen. That has nothing to do with it. Like loyalty happens in the gaps between transactions. So like every moment between a purchase, you're either building trust or you're losing it. So which one is it? It's super binary. It's like ones and zeros. It's like better, worse. That's the secret sauce.
That is as good of an explanation. It's smarter than the way I explain it. I think we're on the same page, but I think it's smarter than the way I say it. And listen, I mean, it's true. Like you can promote somebody's product, mm-hmm. but
you got to build relationships.
You got to. That's why we craft. Well, that's the kind of the way we do this podcast is like, I am by no means an expert, and I don't intend to be, and I don't, but I like trying to connect the expert to the viewer, and we've built this little community, and I think we've gained trust and loyalty and all that. But the consistent part is something I tell a lot of guys too. Like you can't post once a month. You got to be out there and playing the game. But I like how he's talking about building that community. If you could give a new social media, and we'll get on all the other stuff too, but if you could give a new kid who just started a channel some advice, that would it just be what you just said, or are there a few other little tips and things? And which social media platform is the best for somebody that's new?
So this is I don't see the comments. It's somebody in the comments asking.
No, I asked that. That's for me. Hey, listen, I learn from the guest as much as anybody. I'm not too proud to say it.
Let me try to collect. So best way to grow. So all right. So or YouTube will say. All right. So I would start with. I'll try to keep it simple. So it's kind of like a branding exercise. So think about it like this. Your brand, we're going to do a live branding exercise right now.
Okay, let's do it.
What people say about you when you aren't in the room.
Did he just ask
me? What are they saying about
you? Say it again, Paul.
What are they saying about me when I'm not in the room?
I'm just saying that's what your brand is. Your brand is what people say about you when you aren't in the room. So that's the fact, right?
Yes.
So how do you? Then the next question is what are they saying? Well, let's skip that for now. Let's figure out how to get there. It's super simple. In 5 years, and I will say I've been watching this podcast since day one. You don't know that, but the first time
I didn't know that. Thank you.
Ian turned me on to it. I like what you were doing. I was like, I literally said, I'm always honest, dead honest. I was like, these guys are small, but I like what they're doing. They're trying, they're doing the right stuff. I'm into it. And obviously I like Clint. But your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. So in 5 years, they're going to write an article about you and pick a magazine you like. What is the title of your article?
That's deep questions right there.
Yes, but whatever that thing is the most important. And what we're getting to is we're going to call it a hook. It's called a selling point or value proposition, but it's basically what makes you different. Are you the funny guy? Are you the ultra technical gearhead? Are you the bank dad? Are you a wild lure tester? Like who are you? And it doesn't matter. You just have to decide who that is. So that's step one. Step two, I'd show personality, not just catches. Like everyone posts fish pics. Like you guys have a point of view, which I like. There was a quote that said, good media tells people what to think about, not what to think. And I think you guys do a good job of doing that. So you've kind of got that box checked. And then the other two things I'd say is be consistently, because frequency and reach we talked about is everything, but be consistently useful or entertaining. Teach something, test something, make them laugh every time. I think you guys do a good job at that. And then last, I'd say just build trust. And that comes from consistency too. I think it comes from your guests. I think it comes from, I know personally speaking about like y'all show, like I've heard stuff. I don't remember the guy's name, which is terrible. He was one of the guys that sponsors. He's a guide on Lanier, but he was talking about how he fished spots and how he approached some stuff. Like I find myself learning something when I'm really listening, and they'll say stuff like, well, I'm not going to give you the juice, but they kind of already did. But
right. Yeah.
All the time. Like, so you guys I think you're really, really, to use your show as an example, like that's the path. You just have to define that thing. And once you know that, like your life gets so much easier. Like once you know, like what makes you different, who are you, then everything you do is around that central, idea.
Okay. I like that. Fair enough. So now I'm going to ask you a very honest question because I love constructive feedback. Tell me one thing that this show does wrong. And be honest. Tell me something we do wrong.
I think this has the potential to be bigger than Georgia, and I think you limited yourself by the name. I think it was a good start to get people locally to like be interested in it, but I think it's got more legs than you realize, and rebranding is tough. So it's one of those things where it's, there's some dude in California that needs to probably understand from some of the best herring fishermen on the planet, like the seasonal movements of herring.
Right.
But they may never tune in because it's Fish North Georgia and I'm from Clear Lake. Right. Or the algorithm may just not hit them.
No, I 100% agree with that. That's why we did start trying. We are kind of switching over our branding to FNGO. We're doing that just to take the Fish North Georgia out of it, because that is something. I'm glad you said that, because that is something that we kind of felt that, and even with our TV show, which is called The Real American Road Trip, we've kind of felt like we might have put ourselves in a corner with that instead of being able to go to like Spain or Colombia or something like that. You kind of see what
you got options on that. I mean, it could be real. I mean, it's Americans on road trips, so your point of view.
That's true. That is true.
Interesting. So I think, and it's kind of anchored in a thing. I'm jumping around, but he's definitely not listening to this. But Baker Levitt, a guy that was at Black Rifle, who's an absolute maniac but smart. Clint knows him. We used to always think about when we were coming up with ideas back in those days. It was like, how did it talk to culture and community? And I think that's something you guys are doing really well. And I think it's something everyone should consider. And, culture is what people believe, I guess, and communities who they believe it with. And you guys have that boxes checked. So I think that's really, really important. Like, is there a culture and community here? Otherwise, like, what are we doing? We're just mindlessly scrolling around looking for some like dopamine fixation. That's super lame.
Dopamine fixation. Georgia Bassmaster has a question for you.
Marshall Stance, what you got?
Marshall, the man. What makes it
beautiful hair? Too, side note.
He does have some pretty hair.
I don't have hair.
Dude, look, hey, I'm with you. I get it.
Marshall Stamps hair.
Yeah, he does. What makes influencers more valuable to larger companies? Is it value, raw social media numbers, authenticity, being unique, etc.? So what makes influencers more valuable?
So I would say that, man, that's loaded too. I think I look at things differently. So let me answer it simply. So first, anybody, I don't know who's in the comment. I don't know who's watching. Anybody, if you're an influencer, if you're in a company or whatever.
Take Kaz. Use Kaz as an example.
Kaz, okay. I assure you that trust is more important than reach. Period.
Okay.
Influencers build personal relationships with their followers, right?
Right.
And that trust transfers over to the brands that they endorse. So for me, I trust, or no, I have to, I mean, I'll know that, but I trust that that's going to happen. So essentially, people that come at me generally with reach first, I can calculate that. I can figure out a CPM or a cost per thousand and figure out what they are and blah, blah, blah. But I'm kind of thinking like engagement, like there's a lot of guys with 1 million followers that paid them and they're all from India or Pakistan, and it doesn't matter because their engagement's terrible. So for me, I look a little differently. So the first thing I look at is, do the people trust them? And that's more important than the reach. The second thing I look at is they have to be good content creators. So like content at scale. Like I'm thinking I need fresh, relatable material without high cost. Like I've spent a ton of my life shooting stuff on red epics. Like that's not what I need. I need tactical, timely stuff. Can you do that?
Right.
Lastly is like, or maybe not lastly, but the other thing that comes to mind is your audience, and can you drive like awareness and action to them? So I think about it as like all these overlapping circles. And I think a mistake we all make is we try to like sign. I mean, I did it at Black Rifle for sure. I'll call myself out. We sign these like really big people and we get all this reach and all this stuff. But I think now in the future is like hyper regionalized stuff. I don't need the biggest name. I need the best guy on Lanier. I need the best guy on the Flint River. I need the best guy in North Florida. Like I'm going a different direction. I won't unpack too much of that because that's for me. But generally speaking, I would say for me is trust over reach, content scale, and the ability to drive awareness and action to your audience. If that's the case, you're valuable to me. And then frankly, like be easy, like in every job I've ever had, generally speaking, this is a call out to all the anglers listening. If you're listening, I've a giant portion of the anglers I deal with are not responsive in a good way.
Really?
Very simple things we try to get from them. Very, very difficult. Very like it's not as easy as you think. And if we're being honest with ourselves, I think that's the case across the board. I know every company needs different things, right? And what success is and all that type of stuff. I get that. But as a generalization, very rarely do I hear from someone, and it happens, I can think of 20 guys that do it now, but I can think of 50 that don't, that say, hey man, what do you need? And what can I do to help you get there better, faster, and easier?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the conversation many folks are having. And if somebody, rarely do I hear that. And if somebody does do that, they have my attention typically.
Have you ever read the book Sponsor Magnet?
I've not.
So Josh got me a book, Sponsor Magnet. We've had it for about 3 weeks now. And a lot of the things you were saying right there, I have read, especially the one about reaching out to the company and saying, what can I do for you? As opposed to what can you do for me kind of things. And it's very interesting hearing you talk, hearing somebody say those words, coming out of a mouth as opposed to reading them on a book. Because, we're trying to learn that. But what you said has been echoed in print, from somebody else. So it carries some weight right there.
I'm sure they're smarter than me. I've screwed up a bunch of stuff and tried to figure out a lot of things. Tried to, it's all culture and community and frequency and reach and all that stuff. But, for me, I just rarely, and frankly, and I'm not even speaking with my rather hat on, if you will. I'm just talking about the hunting and fishing and shooting in general. Not that often that even when I'm with a a partner, like whatever, like I've done deals, everything from a single guy for product to NASCAR and the Cowboys. Like I've done all the deals. I can count on maybe two hands the time somebody said, what can we do for you? What do you want to do? Like, what is the goal of this? And everyone starts like that, kind of like but they're not really listening. Like they have an agenda and they're trying to hit a number. They're not, most of the talk is cheap. Like the follow through is pretty poor. Like generally speaking, very few people listen and adapt and say, I'm going to bring this to you. And if you do, you can, like, if you're remotely a savage in this day and age, you can outshine your competitors like you wouldn't believe. And if that's you, like, keep on keeping on, brother, because that ain't me.
Yeah. You taking notes, Alex?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, a lot of guys are in the comment section. Dylan Akins Fishing, my buddy. How you doing tonight, Dylan?
Dylan, what's up?
Yeah, good kid. If you had to pick a platform of social media to focus on right now, would you choose Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, or a combination?
God. I guess it depends on your boss, you know.
Yeah.
If he's 100 and he's running a fishing company, probably not TikTok.
That's true. That's true.
TikTok's the easiest. Like the algorithm's not as closed off. Instagram probably has the most relevance, and YouTube probably has the most staying power. But I think, you know, I mean it when I say I want progress, not perfection. So my advice with my rather hat on is do all three. Just keep chipping away at it. If you're working, I got your back. If you're looking for just a hot hit and you want to like make a wave because, you know, Dylan's young and he's doing awesome things and he's trying to crack in there, like probably jump on TikTok. You'll get quick results there and get a little tailwind, and then you can build the rest as it goes.
I got you. What do you think about this conversation so far, Clint?
I like it. I think he's laying out a lot of the big foundational things of content that we all overlook every day. Like a lot of the times it's like, okay, I need to be catching fish. I need to be winning derbs. And it's like, think about some of the most influential people in the industry that have been doing things right. Like some of our anglers that are doing things right. Are they on the top of the leaderboard all the time? No, but their audience and the value of their audience, like what you see in the comments, like Polinick posted something yesterday about tough tournaments and being a dad and still showing up for his kids and stuff. It had 50 comments within 20 minutes of that. And he came in, I don't know, he didn't make the cut. Right. So like, but it shows that his audience is showing up for him because he's showing up for his audience no matter what the result was.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty cool. I mean, guys like Carl Jacobson and like these guys that understood the content game right off the bat of like, I need to build my brand as being there for my audience, and they're showing up for their audience, not just for themselves. And I think them putting their audience first is like kind of where all this story stuff comes from, is like, how can I help my audience? Like they're showing up. What can I give? What value can I bring to my audience, to my sponsors, to my community? Like, I mean, with Fish North Georgia, you're trying to give information about the local lakes around here. You're trying to give fishing advice. You're trying to bring in people like Paul to talk marketing advice. Like you're trying to give back actively every single guest you have. You're not just having a comedian on every week because Danny's already on.
That's my job.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But like, you're not just trying to just purely entertain, like you are educating the community. And I think that's one of the biggest things we overlook is like, what are you giving back? Like, what are you doing every single day to give back? Is it helping an old lady throw a packet of waters in her car and walking out of the grocery store, taking the extra 5 seconds to do something like that? Like, if you're not actively thinking about what you can do to give back, whether it's in the real world, giving back to your audience, giving back to your company, to your job, your workplace, like those people that are taking the extra time of day to contribute, those are the guys that are on top of the content game, not just the guys that are catching them.
No, I agree with that. And I think this show is a little different than our normal show. Whereas
For sure.
we're I know you've done a hell of a lot of fishing, but the advice that you're giving, the guys that are watching this that are going to listen to this later are the ones that really, they want to succeed in that. And so the advice that we're getting tonight is practical and comes from somebody with some experience. So, but it's
give me 1 second. So I want to be a little more specific for Dylan.
Be specific.
Dylan, if I recall, fished at Emmanuel, won the college classic bracket last year. 24, good kid. Don't know him super well yet. Dylan, I know you're listening. I like so let me be very specific on this. I like what you're doing. I like that we can text each other. I know we haven't done a whole lot yet, but I like that things are going good. I like that you're asking these questions, and I'm going to challenge you with something, Dylan. And I don't want to get into this too much. It's got a hint of forward facing, but let me get into it. Use the spotlight to grow the sport. So, Lose and Strike King, long before I was here, have title sponsored the college and high school championships and the whole league. But know this, controversy brings attention. But use that spotlight to bring new people into fishing. More eyes is more opportunity. So it's my challenge to you is like bring newcomers and this fishing thing, bring them into the sport. It's not just a technology arms race. Like the eyes are there. So do something with it. What are you going to do with it? And that's not go shoot videos about, oh my God, new forward facing decision. That's quite the opposite of that. But everyone wants to talk about growing the sport. Well, there's more eyes than ever on it. So who's going to step up?
Good Lord.
I like it.
It's like a seminar. It's like a seminar. I love it. John Bird III.
JB. Shout out.
All right.
JB.
There you go. What's the best advice you can give content creators who specialize in product reviews? And I'll tell you this, because we've thought about doing that before. When you own a tackle shop, that's tough because you sell everything. So it is, those kind of things do not fit in what we do here as much. So we've kind of shied away from them a little bit. But for somebody that does that, what's the best advice you can give?
I like all these on the spot. All right.
Yeah, well, I'm going to throw it at you.
Backing up, John Bird, shout out. He works at Lose. Hey, thank you for being in the comments. John Bird started at Lose. I don't even know what he did. He did something, and he was doing social media for a while. Did a great job at that, and then got an opportunity to be the assistant brand manager of Lose. Like, Lose been around for over 50 years, and John's a good story. And keep your head down, grind, learn the game, get it done. Like, the opportunities come. So shout out, John. But if I was doing gear reviews, so let me think through this. I would be honest, I wouldn't be a hype machine. So I would say like, this isn't sponsored, and this is what surprised me. So like all fishing, not even just fishing, hunting, shooting, hell, humans, they value authenticity over polish. Don't chase better cameras and better stuff. If a bait underperforms, say so. If a niche, say who it's for. Like, honesty builds subscribers. Just be honest, right? That's number one. Number two, I'd show the gear on the water more. I know John's channel, so I'm being a little specific to your channel specifically. Don't just unbox it, fish it more. They want to see the action. They want to see sensitivity. They want to see drag. They want to see whatever it may be. I think you do a good job of explaining what it's for. So the education portion's there. And then one thing, and this will be really unpopular, but I'm going to keep it super real, is compare it to popular alternatives. So one thing that kills this fishing industry is that we think everything has to be exclusive. Well, if you're sponsored by Strike King, by God, you better only fish a Strike King. Here's the reality. Tackle Warehouse, the average order has 6 different brands in the cart. I don't need anyone to buy 6 5XDs. I just need them to buy 1 5XD in June when it's right, or whenever they fish it, right? So I think we generally fail ourselves as an industry to try to not just be real. Like, I'd compare it to popular alternatives. We have the Paramag braking system. What's the question? How does it stack up against the DC? I've worked here a year and a half. I fish Lose now, but it's not the only thing I ever fished. Like, keep it real. Don't review in a vacuum. Like, they love comparisons. It helps them make buying decisions. Frankly, it helps SEO and all that stuff. So that's what I would do. And then, obviously, because it's all AI driven and California's terrible, but nail the thumbnail and the hook on the video. Right. That's what I would do.
I got you. This question is for me.
Okay.
So we're starting to get into the brand ambassadorships and stuff here. I've got a company coming in here tomorrow night. It's an existing company that a gentleman bought, and they've got to get back out on social media. We've got to get back out, get it out. For a company like that, or say Rather Outdoors, would you guys prefer an awareness? If you were in that situation, would you prefer an awareness program where you're just getting the name out there, getting the name in everybody's name, over a return on investment type of kind of deal. You get what I'm saying? Since they're trying to get back out into the public, trying to get their name back out there, because there is a difference in an awareness program and one that's just strictly sales, trying to drive sales.
Yeah.
So for a newer company, how would you, as our company, because we can do media and we can do all that stuff, we got everything in house. How would you approach them? Would you approach them and say, let's do an awareness for a year, or hey, because I don't want to tell anybody I can increase their sales like this, because that's, we can't control that.
Yeah, so we look. I won't get into the weeds. There's ROI, which is return on investment. There's ROAS, which is return on advertising spend, and that's two very different things. But
right,
we'll shut that for now. To answer your question specifically, here's what I would do. I would start with awareness. So awareness is planting seeds, right? You're buying attention and memory, not immediate sales. So your goal there is going to be thinking aloud: reach new audience, grow followers, build brand familiarity, whatever. Then you got to define like, what am I going to track for success? Because here's the weird thing: when you got the money guys like figuring out like, why the hell am I paying you? At some point, like that honeymoon phase is over, and they want to see some results. The secret is, if they trust you, the awareness needs to have a little longer tail than the ROI, which I'll get to. But basically, you start with awareness. You're going to measure, impressions, reach, engagement, video views, shares. Pretty basic.
Right.
Get some new product launches, build a brand story, build a little equity. ROI comes later once people know who you are. And once you get to ROI, I can get into the weeds on that. It's super simple. It's harvesting conversions. I'm buying actions. That's it. Clicks, purchases, signups. So the goal there, I want to drive sales or leads, or I don't know what the company is, whatever, some sort of measurable outcome. Those metrics then switch, like cost per acquisitions or return on advertising, affiliate sales, or whatever it's going to be. That's when retargeting could happen, like warm audiences or some sales campaigns, limited drops. ROI without prior awareness means cold audiences and no conversion. And there is a host of very unhappy people that run really big agencies where they're like 20,000 a month and they got ping pong tables on the second floor and they have picnics and like craft beer or whatever the hell they do. And they miss like ROI relies on prior awareness to convert. Like it's an old school customer funnel. So if I were you, I would build awareness. How long would I do it? I would do it 6 months before I even ask for the sale. I would entertain, ask, or 3 times. Like I would just build that infrastructure. And then when the time comes, the sale will be the easiest part.
That is such good advice.
Hey, Paul, so this reminds me a lot of like the boots on the ground approach with Black Rifle, how we were showing up at opens, popping up the tent. Can you talk about that just a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So at Black Rifle, I did a bunch of things there, and I'm proud of my time there. Of course, I started, there was 50 or 60 employees. When I left, there was 850, and we were public. The numbers are public, so you can look at them, but $400 million in revenue at that time. And what I found, I was in charge of all the partnerships. So I was in charge of hunting and fishing and shooting and archery and fitness and motorsports and all this stuff. And I always said, hey, like fishing and hunting, these are our people. They drink coffee. We should do this. And we naturally went towards bass fishing because it's something I've followed since I was a kid and I love it. And I'm a nerd and I watch not all the classics, but I'm 40. So everyone since 1995, at least roughly. So what we ended up doing was we said, well, I want to go out and serve coffee to the people. Because back to the kind of original point that Danny and I were talking about, we had our selling point or value proposition. In 10 years, our article was going to be that we serve coffee and culture to people who love America. And that was our mission. And we knew that every day. So for me, the only way I could serve coffee and culture to people who love America, like bass fishermen, was to go to the ramp in the morning. So Clint and I, and now Ian, who's another character, he works with us now, good dude. But Clint and I originally went out to the boat ramps at every Elite Series and served hot coffee. And what's interesting is nobody was out there. All the major endemic brands weren't there because it wasn't like the weigh-in and like all the pageantry and the stuff. But for me, as a kid who grew up, in the middle of nowhere in North Carolina, where else would I rather be but at the boat ramp at the Elite Series, watching guys that they didn't know it, but were my heroes, blast off to go catch some bass. It was awesome. So we did that for like a year. And what we did was we built a whole bunch of kind of street cred and brand loyalty and trust. And that turned into, you know, everything that set the foundation for what Black Rifle did in fishing. Yeah, there's more to that, but that's the short story.
That's cool. That's cool. All right, so we're gonna give you a break for a second, let you put a new dip in, get you a drink or whatever. We're gonna do our question of the night. We're gonna do it right now, and then T-Toms, when we get back, we'll do your question next. So, guys, of course, as always, our question night is brought to you by Serve IT. Guys, if you were looking for a complete 100% IT solution for your company, Serve IT, the technology and managed service company right there, that's the company for you. Whether your company is big or small, it does not matter. They have a process that will take care of your company from start to finish. Customer service is a priority with them, and 100% they will stick on any problem you might have until it is solved. So we appreciate the guys at Serve IT for their support of the live well. So the question of the night, and here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a Fish Monkey Performance Face Guard, UPF 50 plus, for all you fair-skinned guys out there that want to keep the sun off of you. 3 answers to the question tonight, okay? I did 3 for Father Time, who was in the house earlier. I hope he's still here. But anyway, 3 questions tonight. So you have to have 3 answers. And we say this all the time. Don't put 1, don't put 2. Got to be 3. First one to get all 3 correct in the same comment will win the Fish Monkey Performance Face Guard. So here's the question. Okay, you guys listen carefully. On this date, what happened that created a media sensation? What year did it occur? And what movie in 1974 did the person who caused this sensation star in? So I'm going to read it again. On this date, what happened that created a media sensation? What year did it occur? And what movie in 1974 did the person who caused this sensation star in? Now, the last question is a hint. So I need 3, and it's going to be a little tough. You know, you guys can Google some of it, but you're going to have to Google several times to get that. So while we're waiting and giving Paul a break, you know, Clint, so far, what are you taking from this conversation? Because I'm like on overload.
Yeah.
Like, I honestly wish you were doing all the talking and I could just sit here and take notes.
Yeah.
This will be one episode I go back and watch.
This is a good replay.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing from this is like, what are you trying to do with your own personal brand? And it just kind of it's a good thing to make you step back and look at the foundation. Like, what's your why? Why are you doing content? Why are you making content? What are you doing it for? And then 5 years from now, what do you want? Like, I really like, what do you want your article to be? Like, what do you want that headline to be? And I think it goes a long way of like, just thinking about how do we operate in this industry? Like, it's all based on connections, but like, but how do you make yourself a more valuable connection in the industry? So you go to ICAST, what are you doing to make yourself a more valuable connection that you get talked about at the next ICAST, or if they ever have another ICAST after this year, who knows?
Right.
But like, what are you doing to be that guy that somebody calls? And they're like, oh, I got the guy for you. Like, I feel like I do that a lot. Like, I get a phone call of like, oh, hey, I need to get in touch with this person for this or whatever. Like, do you know anybody here? And then I go through my Rolodex and I find the right person.
Do you own a Rolodex?
I do not. No.
I didn't think so.
I know the concept, you know. I got a Rolodex in this.
Okay. We do have a right answer. Dylan Akins. He's like, you know what?
The
like
first answer too.
Listen,
That's the second week in a row.
Oh, really? He's out to prove something. So on this date, now you didn't quite have it, but you're close enough. On this date, O.J. Simpson was arrested in 94? And then in 1974, he starred in The Towering Inferno. Dylan's daggum, his shit's all over the place, but he's close enough. So it's like that. And you know what? Because I like Dylan, we'll give it to him like that. So Dylan, send me your address on Messenger, and I I'll send you the fish monkey thing right there. So, all right, let's bring Paul back in. Appreciate you taking a little break there, Paul. Let's see. Going up Thad Moody. There's one more, not Thad Moody. T Toms was up there. Question for you, Paul. When watching any kind of outdoor content, is there an expectation that the production quality will always be high? Are you initially turned off from content if the production quality is low? And I'm going to say this before you answer that. We noticed, like, take the Outdoor Boys. You know, he just retired and all that, but all of his stuff was pretty much filmed on a GoPro or one of those Insta cameras like that. So there wasn't a ton of production quality. And a lot of the more popular YouTube channels, a lot of them are GoPro. They're simple. Can you overproduce something?
Yeah, I'll back up. Is watching something with less production quality less interesting? Yes.
Yes. Okay. All right.
I think expanding a little bit, the gear has less to do with it than the ability. So I would venture to say that if you took a really high level camera guy and gave him a crappier camera and gave a crappy guy a good camera, you're going to like the first guy better.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, generally speaking, like I think you got to tell a good story. I think you got to establish your time and place, why you got there, what the intent is. Like if you're talking about a TV show, it's 22 minutes and 30 seconds. There's generally 3 parts of it. And, you know, you have to do that with consistency about what you're doing while you're getting there. You have to get into the meat of it. Then you got to close it. For God's sakes, don't wait till the last segment to like give me the juice. Like 80% of the outdoor shows, like entertainment. I think that used to not be that way, but you know, the like shifting scrolling thing has hurt. But yeah, generally speaking, I think if the production quality is not good, then what are you doing? I mean, a misconception is I can buy airtime and put anything on TV. It's not hard to get on TV at all. You just have to write a check, and there's a lot of people that write checks.
That's right.
So there's about last I counted, there's about 700 outdoor shows on television and stuff. And there's a lot of guys dude, being real honest with you, we benefited from it. We used to get calls all the time, like, you guys shoot great stuff, shoot my TV show. I don't always get to pick like what I wanted to do. I picked what paid, and we shot some great TV shows, and some of them were okay. And a lot of that, I'm not necessarily talking about the quality of the shooting, as the quality of people we had to be with, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, short answer. Yeah. If you're going to shoot a show, like shoot a dang show, let's get it. Otherwise don't.
Yeah. That's one thing that a lot of people, when they watch our TV show, they always talk about the camera work and the quality of that. Cause the guys that do our show are really great, much less so than the host of the show as far as our TV show like that, for sure. I get that. So, what do guys do? Okay, so let's say when you say production quality, let's say a guy's starting out and all he really has is a GoPro or something like that. Or
your iPhone?
Or your iPhone.
That's all I have.
Okay, what are the more common mistakes that these guys make that you can kind of steer them away from? And I get story is the most important connection, but as far as the actual videoing of content, what mistake are they making?
That's a generalization.
Yeah, it is. It's a broad stroke.
Kind of back to the beginning stuff. Like, if it doesn't resonate, it doesn't matter. Like, hey guys, Paul here. Thanks for tuning in. Like, stop that. I know who you are. Like, I'm tuning in. You know what I mean?
What's up, guys?
What's up, guys? Glad you're here. Been having a good week. I'm not being rude. Like, I'm not rude. I'm just being honest. Like, give it to me. Like, I'm trying to think of someone like,
well,
how about Kyle Patrick? I talked to him today. That dude's content's great. You know, he just gets in there, bam, like boom, let's get in it. Like, that's cool.
Eyes are open. He is ready.
Dude, full fruit bat mode. Like, it's awesome. You know?
Yeah.
Like, get in there. Let's do it.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like, I think it's less about the camera. And the other thing, and I'm going to get on a tangent. This is just a pet peeve.
Go ahead.
But for the love of all things holy, like, stop showing me all the fish catches from your back. Like, I get it, brother. Like, you caught 22 fish and it's April, and dog, you should be catching them. You know what I'm saying? Like, get to it. Like, it's borderline like narcissism clinically. If you think people are really interested in the fact that you had 18 fish catches, like, I get it. You caught them. Like, what are we doing here? Let's get moving on it. So for me, I'm just kind of the same principles we talked about, the same stuff. Like,
I love this shit.
with Dylan with that stuff, but there's so much, and I watch a bunch of it because I want to see what's going on. And like, dude, I'm guilty. I'm on that crap all the time. I'd be on my phone right now if I wasn't on here, if I'm being honest. But it's like, I'm overwhelmed with just like 12 fish catches. I'm not going to call them out, but I watched one guy put up a video. It wasn't Kaz. I love what Kaz is doing, by the way. But it was Pickwick, and there was like the first 7 minutes was him just catching fish. And all I saw was his back and him setting the hook. And it's like, it's April. You're a pro. Like, you should be catching. You know what I'm saying? Like, you should be catching. It's April. So then I was like, okay, well, what's he doing? Like, can I be entertained or inspired or educated? No. Like, I didn't know nothing. He didn't tell me nothing. He didn't show me his bait. He didn't tell me what was happening. Like, he didn't tell me nothing. It was just him being like, well, god dang, of course they're going to like it. It's me schwacking fish. It's like, nah, dog. Like, very not interested. So, just how I keep it real is I pretend like this sounds lame, but stick with me. I pretend like I'm like flying over it at like 10,000 feet. Like, is anybody really interested in it? And if they are, then do it. And if they're not, like, don't do that. I tell, my guys on my team all the time, like, good marketing is aggressively executed common sense. That is all it is.
Say that one more time.
Good marketing is aggressively executed common sense.
There you go. I love his bluntness.
Oh yeah, he's straight up.
No, seriously. No, I love your bluntness.
I want to go to Pickwick and throw a spinnerbait like Kaz on the bank and be like, oh shit, they're shallow, and I'm gonna blast 28 pounds. Like, that'd be cool. Never done that. But the difference in Kaz's content is he gave me a story arc, told me what was going on. He gave me 2 parts. He let me experience that. Like, his hype with this co-angler was real. Like, he didn't know if he was going to win or not. He was not super sure that was going to go down. He's got a 7 and a 6 in the boat, and he's still not quite sure of him. Like, that's a different conversation than Kaz is back, like, hiding his, stock of big secret. Like, dude, give me a break. Come on.
That's like I really genuinely like the way you're saying this. Dalton Dowdy says, I've heard that marketing quote from Paul many times.
Shout out Dalton. I got my boys. Thank you.
So boys show
up. Fishing with Platts. Do you think an intro is important to have on your YouTube videos?
Yes. Yeah. The most important thing is the intro and the title, the thumbnail and the title.
Yeah.
If you don't pass go, you get the view.
Yeah, so I've been told that pretty much you've got X amount of seconds, depending on the platform.
Yeah, it's true.
To hook the viewer. And YouTube, you have a little bit more because it's long form content. But take Mr. Beast. Josh uses Mr. Beast all the time. Within the first minute of a Mr. Beast video, you know what's going to happen, how he's setting it up, and then it goes into the video. So the viewer's like, okay, I find this interesting. I'm going to watch it now. Whereas TikTok, you got 3 seconds before they scroll up and all that. So,
and there's a lesson here, Danny, oh man, this will be unpopular, but whatever. So I hear all the time, not from my guy, just in general, this is a generalization. I mean, I'm not being evasive.
Right.
Nobody works harder than me. I'm like, cool. You know what Mr. Beast did? He studied for hours and hours and hours and hours what makes a video viral. Yes, this was times when things were easier, but he's a billionaire with the B, so it worked, but stay with me.
Yeah.
So he studied and he outworked everyone. And then the first video he did, it was like counting to 100,000 or 1 million or some crazy shit. And it worked. And then it was like, he figured out like, I'm going to give a homeless guy $10,000 or this like sensationalism, But he legitimately outworked everyone. And then he flexed kind of with the algorithm. He got into the point. He did all that stuff. And it's a word of caution with all that stuff too, is I've heard this going back to our industry. Oh, let's do what Yeti did. Let's do what Black Rifle did. Let's do what Mr. Beast did. I'm keeping it 100 with y'all. Like, you're not going to replicate that. There's a certain
Right.
element of catching lightning in a bottle. I was a part of it at Hook. I was a part of it at Black Rifle. I've been a part of it a little bit at Meat Eater. Like, there was just so much of a groundswell there, you could do no wrong. If I tried to run the playbook at Black Rifle that I ran at Rather, I would put them out of business. It's just not the same thing.
Right.
You have to be cognizant of that. Like, Yeti had lightning in a bottle, and there was nothing that was going to change that trajectory. So it's like, it's a good thing to like look to, like they do things right for sure. I'm not saying they don't, but it's
right.
like narrow your focus down a little bit and say like, how, I don't know, I'd have to think of an example, but like, how are these guys growing? How is this, it's like, it's a perspective thing or a context thing.
Yeah. CT, I see you in the comments right there. No problem, buddy. You got a concussion. There's a thing called drafting. I don't know if you probably are familiar with it, where guys, sometimes it's easier to go in behind somebody that somebody has created that niche and blasted through the air to kind of come in behind, do something similar but different, and kind of set yourself apart from it. Do you recommend anything like that?
Nah.
And they use that term just like in NASCAR, drafting.
Are you them?
No.
Then
no. So you say that's not that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like ignore stuff like to be relevant.
Right.
I'm saying, yeah, if you see, like if you unpack the things that I've talked about, like, frequency and reach and culture and community and like the stuff we're talking about and the thumbnails and the this and the be specific and about all that stuff, like that's the real secret. So it's like, could you get a boost from it? Maybe. It's kind of like coattail investing. Like, here's a shocker. You can do everything Warren Buffett does and beat the S&P 500. And that can happen. If you go back 40 years, just do everything Warren Buffett does. You have to do the trade a month later. So it's the worst possible time when you beat the S&P 500. So it's possible. It's called coattailing. In this case, it's drafting.
Coattailing. Okay.
Maybe, it'd probably work. Like, if you don't have that selling point or value proposition, you don't establish like trust over reach and all that stuff. Like, are you doing it for your ego or are you doing it to like serve the need of something?
I got you.
Yeah. Short answer. No.
No. Okay. Hey, I like it. I like it. Wyatt Browning. People are like summertime spots. If you don't attack aggressively, you catch as many as the guy that is. Okay. If you don't attack. Anyway, Paul you taught him a lesson. Read that, because like for some reason I can't read it.
I don't see this.
Did I mess it up?
Let me read it. People are like summertime spots. If you don't attack them aggressively, you catch as many as the guy that is.
Them.
Biggest lesson Paul has ever taught me, and still reminds me of that lesson.
All right, I got it. For some reason,
but it doesn't apply to this stuff too.
Okay. All right, what do you think, Clint? What you got for him?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like if you're attacking the summertime spot, he's just talking about having an aggressive approach. I feel like, I mean, if you're not putting in the time, if you're not grinding when no one's watching, then you're not going to get the results. Like a lot of people get confused because they'll see the success of somebody like that's at the top. Like I filmed for someone that was trying to become like an influencer in their craft, right? And they were looking at all these people and they're like, I want to make videos exactly like this guy. He's got 100,000 followers and all this stuff. If I make these same videos, I'm going to get there. Well, you're not looking at 5 years ago when he was making these other videos completely in a different lane. And those were the ones that caught and got viral. And then now this is what he's making 5 years later. Like, you can't like put the cart before the horse and get to those results. Like, you have to write your own story, build your own path. Because the thing is like when you're trying to ride coattails, a lot of the times you're only looking at the after picture. Like if I'm trying to train how Mark Wahlberg trains right now, I'm not going to get to the same goal that I want to get to in the gym, because he's already 10 chapters ahead of, like, his chapter 50 is my chapter 1, like,
right.
Or vice versa, or whatever. You know what I'm trying to say?
I
like
do.
It's like you can't replicate that by looking. Like if I was to follow his program right now and like eating steaks at 3:00 in the morning, 1, it's not sustainable for my lifestyle. And then 2, like, I'm not going to look like him because I still got plenty of fat to lose, muscle to build, all that stuff. Like, it's not going to affect. And then you have all these other factors that's like I'm not him. I don't have that like body type or whatever it is. It's like you have to figure out what's going to work for you. You can take lessons from it. You can take like advice of like, hey, he's doing cardio and then he's strength training and he's focusing on muscle, whatever. But like at the end of the day, like it has to work for you. If you hate running, you're not going to be running like Nick Baird in Austin, Texas. Like you're not going to do it, but you could be the best power walker there is. You never know. Like it's like from fitness to fishing to marketing to video production, whatever it is, like you have to figure out how to take these concepts and put them into action in your own way. Because if you don't find your own way and you just try to copy everybody else, they're still going to be ahead and you're still going to be behind.
Yeah, and you don't have the access to the steroids Wahlberg has as well. So, says Silver Punk. All right, well, let's do that. Like you really there is so much more about you, and I know we have basically just talked you into giving us a seminar on marketing. But I'm going to get your email, and you and I are going to have some conversations here. I'll get that. Tom Brubaker.
Oh gosh, Tommy, what's up, Tommy?
You know, he is going right to where I was getting ready to go. So thank you, Tom, because I know he didn't come on here just to teach us how to market the whole night. So I appreciate what you said, Paul. And a lot of guys are going to go back and watch this again because there was a lot to unpack there. But Paul, what are your thoughts on the recent decreases in tournament participation in large parts of the country? What do you think the key reasons are behind it? And how should the leagues/brands respond? That's a loaded question with a lot to unpack there, big dog.
I ain't scared. All right. So
I ain't scared. Hey, Tatum. That's my daughter. I got to say hey to her.
I'll forget there's 3 questions in one. Let me start with the first part. So the first part is like, how do I feel about the participation?
Yeah, in tournaments. The recent decreases in tournament participation in large parts of the country.
All right. So let's unpack some of that. First, it's kind of 2 things. So we're talking about, Bassmaster and MLF and MPFL is going to have a full field no matter what. We all agree on that, right?
Yes.
So we're going to talk about kind of like Tuesday nighters and things like that. I think a lot of it comes down to hope, and I'll dig into that. And it's naturally about forward facing. So to be clear, I mean, I've had forward facing since 2019. Clint knows that. I bought Greg Vinson's boat. He had Panoptics at the time. I think it's an incredible tool, and whatever it is, what it is, I have it. But let's talk about tournament fishing. So I think what people fail to articulate a little bit is forward facing is shifting the perceived skill balance. So most anglers feel like, trying to tread moderately lightly here, that instinct and like traditional patterning are being replaced by live sonar.
Right.
So the shift has created, and this has happened before. I've really been watching this a lot because, we can get into that. Like, I will say that the reason I work at the place I work, which is Rather Outdoors, which is Strike King and Lose and Quantum and Zebco, is because I believe that I know now, I believed when I started, but now I know that they do the right thing for the fishing industry when nobody's looking. I have not worked, and I mean this when I say it, for a more ethical, tuned in bunch of people in my life. And it was exactly what I needed in the later days of Black Rifle. But that aside, I will say that this has happened before outside of our industry. And I encourage all of you, as opposed to complaining on the YouTubes, to, pop on that technology machine in your pocket and do some research. It's called perception gap. And it causes longtime participants to feel alienated. It's not about, in the fishing side, it's not about reading water. It's about reading screens, all that type of stuff. So that's the first part. The second part is dilution. So now we've got a bunch of tournament trails. And frankly, like watching tournaments is just a little bit less exciting. In the 90s and 2000s, you could watch ESPN on Saturdays and there was one Bassmasters. And that was pretty easy. And now, it's not that way. And frankly, like, because the industry is trying to do things that sometimes I don't agree with, we can get into that. But live coverage of anglers isn't really staring at like graph stuff, isn't super compelling storytelling. And it's kind of like flat in the viewer experience. That's not my fault. That's their fault, to be clear.
Right.
There's less visible strategy, techniques, fewer big move moments. Like that impacts fan engagement, sponsor ROI, which is where I come in, and long-term interest. Like they created that, not me. And then this skill gap, honestly, the thing that people aren't talking about is it's killing the middle tier. So like that divide between the top tier and the mid tier guy is widening like pretty fast. So it's like, generally speaking, it doesn't give people a good arc to like continue to like grow up into it. Like you can go be like pretty epic and scope, and that's fine. But then you also have to like, balance out your other skills. So it's kind of flip that narrative. I think there's probably some like ethics and conservation questions too that I don't really align with, but people will complain, certain channels that we all know will complain about spotlighting and should we be able to target individual fish or whatever. I think you should. Neither here nor there. But I think all those factors make, tournaments in general like declining. And I'd be remiss to not say like Tom worked with us for a long time, super smart guy. I love the guy. He's working at Fishing Chaos now. They do all those digital tournaments. And I do believe that, there is a place in the future of tournament fishing, of online digital tournaments. And, will it be everything? It won't be. But I think people are sleeping if they don't see that that's coming. So
Why don't you expound on that a little bit? Because
sure.
you love tournaments.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
No, I love Durbin. I love Durbin. And I feel like it is changing. Like the game is changing as we see it. And I feel like we're starting to get some eyes open to the conservation aspects. We're seeing fish get more pressured. We're seeing fish that used to, I was talking with Ian about this earlier today, is like those fish that went out there to chill out in the middle that we didn't know existed out there, they're getting targeted now, right? Like these fish are getting targeted. So things are changing a little bit. But with that comes like you have different tournament pressures. There's more people on the water than there ever has been. Our techniques are better. Our baits are better. All of our technology has evolved. Mapping's insane. You can pull up on any hump on Lanier at any given time if you just have the proper mapping. Like you can have a milk run of spots to run by spending an hour on mapping, and you can run that lake like a local in an hour, right? Whereas it used to take 30 trips out on Lanier to find half of the spots. So like everything is evolved at a rapid pace. And with that comes like what's happening to these fish, what's happening to fisheries. If you're having 300, 500 boat high school tournaments, and then you're having a open and then elite series and all this stuff, like all these fish are getting moved all over the lake. Like if digital tournament starts to become more of a trend, or some of these tournament organizations are only bringing one big one and then letting their other four go or whatever, or weighing them on the boat, or there's so many different options of these things to not have to bring 5 across the scales, but still be able to like Lake Fork is a great example, right? How they work with Bassmaster to like weigh the fish on the boat. These big ones are going back, and if you have one over 24, you bring it back to the scales. Like they could.
That was cool, actually, to watch that.
And then that's good for all those giant trophy fish in Lake Fork, for historical Lake Fork that's had all these trophy fish in it for so long. Like you still have the best of both worlds, right? But like maybe there's a happy medium, because Fork was a little bit weird because you only have 3 guys with an over out of 100 boat field. It's a little weird when only 3 guys get to hold up a fish because they got not lucky, but they came across the opportunity to catch a giant.
Yeah.
Now, if it was keep the biggest fish in your bag, I mean, already you're 80% ahead, because 4 of those fish are going back, and then 1 fish is getting brought to the scales. You're already affecting a major population of the fish that are going back into the water if you're weighing them all, and then you bring in your biggest fish or your biggest 2 fish, hold them across the scales, you're helping the population there. Like maybe that's an option in the future. There's so many different options out there of like where this is going to go, but we all should be aware that it is changing. Like It's not the same bring them in on stringer and go knock the sides off of them anymore. Like we're trying to preserve this resource. So like how is it being affected to grow ultimately in this sport? And I think but the thing is it's hard to make people change, right? Like that's why forward-facing sonar has become such a hot topic, is because a lot of people don't want to change and adapt and grow with the technology. And then those that have adopted the technology, there's still half of them that have tried to adopt it and learn it, and then they get frustrated and give up. Or they're just not as good with it as some of the people that have came into it straight up with an open mind. Like I've been able to use it for 4 or 5 years now, and like I have fully embraced it, and I feel like I've gotten really good with it.
Mhm.
But I also don't want to become reliant on it. And we're starting to see generations get very reliant on it. Like I was still on the back of Paul's boat slinging whatever glide bait I could afford at the time, trying not to get it hung up on a dock cable back in the day and smacking it against every dock I could, trying to figure it out. And it's like now I'm throwing similar glide baits on forward-facing sonar and targeting fish, but I'm not forgetting about pitching a glide bait down the side of the dock and catching a big one. I'm lucky that my generation, I got the best of both worlds and still adopt both fishing styles, but we're seeing in some of these younger generations starting to lean more one way. So it's like, how can we bring that diversity back in there as well and keep these well-rounded anglers catching them? Because like you look at the Elite Series field, Sabine River, perfect example. You still got plenty of scopers in the top 10, top 25. Like there's still plenty of guys that you call scopers that are still just as well-rounded anglers as the rest of them in the Elite Series field.
Yeah.
You look at the bottom half of the field in any other tournament, you see guys that you ask somebody that's been watching the sport in a long time, they'll be like, oh yeah, he's a legend. He can catch them. He's a well-rounded angler, but he's still at the bottom of the field, you know? And so it's like, how do you balance these well-rounded anglers? Like and tournaments are different. It's such a mental game. Like people talk about it all the time. Like you can have a bad year, a bad season, a bad 3 years and get kicked off the elites when, yeah, maybe you belong there, but it just wasn't that time or didn't work out. So like, how can we still have these well-rounded anglers and perform these tournaments to where, like, what is the future? Is it digital tournaments? Is it bringing less fish across the scales? Is it weighing them all on the boat and letting them all go? Like, what does that do to the weigh-in? What does that do to people? What does Bass Track do to making people watch tournaments? What does looking at a screen do?
That right there, what you just said, Bass Track, honestly has kept me from watching as much, knowing that I can stay here and work.
You know who's leading.
And I just go to Bass Track and say, okay, there we go. And then, you know, I can keep up with the locals like Paul and Emil and all that.
And NPFL started turning it off at a certain time. And I've started to get frustrated because I'm like, oh, dang, like, I don't know what's going on now. I got to watch the weigh-in or whatever. But, like, maybe that's the solution, right? Is to turn it off at a certain time or only have it running for the first 2 days and then cut it off for the last 2 days or turn it. Like, there's all kinds of different options. And I think the leagues are way more willing to adapt than we give them credit for.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's a lot of things at stake here because you're going to have – it's a double-edged sword no matter which way you play the game. So I think you have organizations that are playing it super safe right now, and you have organizations that are taking a risk. And, like, I think MPFL took a big risk, and it's working out for them.
It is working out for them.
And right now is a perfect time in the industry where we have a little bit of everything, but it's not going to be like that forever.
Yeah.
Like, people are going to feel the pressure. They're going to try to change. People are going to make wrong decisions with changes that are going to affect them negatively or positively. Like, everybody says they want half and half right now with bass, but we have 3 scope wins and 3 non-forward facing sonar wins this year. It's perfectly half and half with full technology right now.
It is.
Like,
good point.
what, like, is that really the problem? Like, I think we need to sit back and identify what is starting to cause some of these problems we have in the industry, and how do we bring that value to the viewer the same? Like, we need anglers talking on camera. Like, they used to be really good at walking them through when they're just going down the bank. They were walking through what they were doing and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we're in such a high, like, forward-facing sonar has made our efficiency go through the roof. We're fishing 10 times faster than we ever were because you can hit all these different spots, cover so much water and all this stuff. But in that mindset, that tournament mindset, you're not worried about the audience as much when you're running around all over the place trying to focus on the next fish. So I think if the anglers step back a little bit, and there's some young guys doing really well with it. Like, Kyle Patrick's a great one. Like, he'll walk you through what he's doing. He's like, hey, I pitched to that stump. My line was frayed. I remember the Pasca Tank video. He was talking about how, like, he's like, this is 2-pound test at this point with his line being frayed and lands his fish. Like, that's the story we're there for. That, like, scope, no scope, whatever he's fishing with doesn't matter. Like, you're there to see the story, the excitement, the fired up,
the frustration sometimes.
And it translates that feeling through the lens. It makes you think back to, oh, I remember when I had one hung up in a brush pile and ended up landing it. It was so cool. And that's what, like, it takes you back. Like, that's the part,
the connection.
That's what we love. That's the connection. That's what's tying these lines together at the end of the day. And
that's a good point. Do you know a Jackson?
I think that's your son.
Jackson says, "Hey, Dad."
What up, Jack?
He's not supposed to be in the bed, is he?
Nah, he goes to bed he wakes up at 3 a.m. He'll be in bed in 10 minutes either way. And I think, Clint, you're on it. It's like, it's important that people know too this. Like, I think about the history of where we've come from, and I'm keenly aware that, I'm in the steering position of a bunch of legacy brands, right? And, we're not rash, we're steady. Like, I'd argue to say we have more longtime pros than anybody in the industry. I mean, I've got Fritz 50 years. I've got guys 40 years. I've got guys 30 years, 20 years, right? And I think about, this literally every day, not to sound sappy or whatever, but like, what would Lynn Reeves or Lou Childer or Shag Shahead or Phil Marks or John Barnes, or would these guys think I'm doing a good job? And I have to decide on these things. And to be real honest with y'all, like, forward facing and this tariff thing is like, nobody saw this coming. It's like a major deal that we have to have a position on. And it is my job as a leader and the marketing leader of this, what has gotten to be a pretty dang big company, to call the ball on it. And I think about it a lot. And it's like, everybody's right and everybody's wrong at the same time. And that's what sucks about it. Like, I believe that, what's the path forward with this tournament stuff? Like, the heart of our sport, I believe, is still strong. But I think it's time to, like, reconnect what made it great. Like, we have to be responsible for balancing innovation and instinct, and to keep competition fair and exciting and all the stuff. And to make the most important thing is we have to make tournaments more welcoming for every angler. I think that's where some of those digital things come in. You don't have to worry about going to sign up for a tournament. Like, you can just fish wherever you want to. I don't believe necessarily that the future is about banning technology. I think it's about using it responsibly, telling better stories, rebuilding, like, the community, like, around the love of the game. Like, we seem to forget that, like, my mom's on here. She used to bring me, we didn't have no money growing up, and I would read Bassmaster magazine in the Ingalls store, which is a grocery store, and learn all these things. I could not wait to, like, go try them out, even though I had no bass and no boat around me. It's like, I love the game. I've always loved the game. And if your feed, like, reality check, boys and girls, if your feed is full of negative stuff, that's what you consume.
Yep. 100%.
Where do you stand in this? And if that's your jam, cool. But, like, I don't have time for it. I get it. I'm not a dummy. I see all the stuff. I understand the impacts of it. Like, I lead marketing on a legacy wire bait and hard bait company. I understand, believe me. But it's like, I also, at the end of the day, if I can tell better stories and, build a community around the love of the game, I'm winning. And, it's not my decision. I have ideas. There's plenty of options for people. I mean, right now you got all three. Right now, no ban. It's kind of a ban, complete ban. Like, pick one. As a brand, I don't care what you fish. Fish whatever is good for you. That's the truth. Like, if you're an MLF, that's cool, man. Like, Bassmaster, great, love it. Classic's still the classic. Like, I think there's things we could do to be better. Like, a little bit of a tangent, but I'll go on it. Like, Bassmaster Classic. Why is that tournament not Thursday, Friday, Saturday? Right? So why do I have to hear an angler tell me, my son Jackson's on here, he's 10 years old. My hope is that he loves fishing one day. I think he does, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes, right?
Right.
But why does he have to go to the Classic and hear an angler say on stage, I'm sure glad I don't have to work the Expo? You've pissed me off. That's keeping it real with you. Really? Yeah. Because my 10-year-old would love to see you, because he's your fan and he watches your videos. And if the Expo was Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and the tournament was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Easton Fothergill, nothing to make him happier than to be in our booth and talk to all his fans. Is that where you're at if you're an angler? If you're listening, I hope you think about that. That's what I would do. I mean, that's a very easy fix right now. Now you don't have to worry about record attendance and this and that. You'll have it. Super simple. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's your tournament. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is the Expo.
That makes so much sense.
Turn off fast track.
That makes so much sense.
Sunday.
Yeah. That's what I got a question.
Neither here nor there. That's what I would do if you're listening.
No, listen. I think that's a fantastic idea. I will say this: what you mentioned, if your feed is all negative, you are what you consume.
100%.
You are what you consume. That's what I try to tell my wife. She's watching all those how to get away with murder videos.
That's
like,
dangerous, Danny. You're going to end up in a barrel in the dang desert.
listen. If I go missing and you see my face on TV, my wife did it.
I got you.
100%. 100%. She did it.
Puerto
Plus,
Rico.
she throw menopause on there. You know that. Listen, she's at that age, man. She's 50. She can get away with it in some states if she kills me now. It is. I want to ask you a question about bait sales.
Sure.
And especially, here in North Jersey, we got a lot of mom pop companies and all that, and you're with much bigger brands. The industry has seen, of course, a switch from your traditional jigs and those kind of things to your more forward-facing sonar baits and all that. What do you see as far as the future of the old school baits like that? Like your jigs, your spinner baits and all that. Can you, being kind of in the industry at that high level, can you see kind of forecast the way it's going to go?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have POS data, so I can tell you day by day what it looks like. Some of that I won't share. I think that I see that POS data, and, I won't get into that, to be fair to everything. Like, I'd say we're doing okay, and that's a blessing. And that's
okay. I got you.
Yes. So, we ain't hurting, and, knock on wood, hopefully it stays that way. But to me, it's like, here's what we can't forget. Authenticity wins always. Back to that. Innovation still comes from the garage. Facts. It will, right? Some of the most effective baits ever created didn't come from boardrooms. In fact, they rarely do. They come from just smart fish catching designs still turn heads. I mean, shit, Strike King the name was invented by over a crappy dinner in the 60s with Bill Dance and all that stuff. It wasn't long ago. I mean, Lou's got relaunched in 2011. So it's one of those things. Like, one thing that's a word of encouragement is basically on why these mom and pop companies still have a shot and why I think we desperately need them is social media levels the playing field. You don't need a national TV budget. One viral Instagram reel or honest YouTube review can generate massive attention, especially if the bait performs. I know a bunch of them. We all know them. I'd be happy to name them. I have no shame whatsoever. I'm a friggin' bass nerd. I just happen to work for a bass company, right? And loyalty is stronger in niche communities. At the end of the day, I don't want to name one bait, but how about that green popper at Hammond's? That's not a secret anymore, right? That was a thing back in the day. Like, that's a niche community. They sell the fire out of that. They have some other sneaky herring stuff that I ain't saying that's really good. But yeah, I think there's a place for it. And there's this kind of narrative that has come out from certain big name anglers that are like, these conglomerates like us were like the devil or whatever. I'm like, cool. At the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, like, what are they doing to make the industry better? And there's some companies that aren't doing a damn thing to make it better. And there's some companies that are, and it has nothing to do with whether or not they're a conglomerate or not. Because I promise you, everything gets harder the bigger you get. Speed to market, time, turning the ship, all of it. I'm not speaking for Rather. I'm talking about, dude, I started Black Rifle at $40 million. We left at 400. I know what scale looks like. It gets hard. The secret to all of it is you can't lose your soul along the way. And I think there's a lot of people that have lost their soul along the way, and they're the loudest ones chirping, talking about this and that, what have you. And for me, it's like, dude, it's binary. It's like ones and zeros for me. Is Jackson going to believe what you're saying? Are you doing something to make my 10-year-old, who better be in bed, love this thing I did? And if you're not, step it up, because you have the privilege of getting to work in the industry that we love. And if you squander that being an idiot, like, lose my number.
Yeah. God, I love this guy's answers.
Hell yeah, he's on point.
It's like, I'm ready to I'm ready to run through the wall right now.
I mean, I love it. You know, I'm not saying we're not big, but I'm not saying we were always big. Like, everything we had started in a garage. Yeah. You can build something you like that helps the game that you love with people you trust and admire. Like, is that not what we're trying to do here? So, you know, whatever.
This is like
I hope that all those guys that want to build, like that's buzzbait that dude won on the last Elite Series,
Gonzalo, right?
Schlopper, right?
Gonzalo's. Yeah.
Good for them. Like, that's what this whole thing's about. It's exciting. I hope that guy sells. I hope he gets to go on vacation with his kids this year somewhere he's never thought of dreamed of going because of that. I mean that.
Yeah.
Like, I hope so. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's what this whole thing's about. And it's like, you know, people are, I don't know, they're just, man, they're losing sight of the big picture on this sometimes.
This has like been a marketing 101 class, a social media 101 class, a pep rally. I'm seriously, like I'm ready, like hell, I'm ready to charge the gates of hell right now. You're like, yeah, this is it. But I get what you're saying. But you know, in everything you've said tonight, in every single thing, no matter which topic or what nuance we're talking about, to you, it's all about, and it makes sense, the connection, your purpose, the why.
You know, and we didn't even get into it, but it's like, I'm no stranger to competition on bass and fly fishing and this and that. And I get it. Like, I get all of it. Like, it's fun. But the truth is too, is like my mentor is Larry Dahlberg. And he, if you know who he is, he's the best fisherman I've ever known. Invented the Whopper Plopper, Flash Boo, hunt for big fish, whatever. Talk to him regularly. Certainly the best fisherman I ever know. And I would say probably the brightest mind in the game. And he told me something I'll never forget, and I'll share it with everyone because I think it's important. And I've thought about it a lot lately with all this forward-facing and tariff stuff, but this is it. Fishing, the world of fishing is a globe. I don't know if you can see me. It looks like this.
Yep.
And you look through that globe with keyholes, right? And there was a time in my life when I lived in, you know, the mountains of North Carolina. My keyhole was catching trout in Kaler Creek on Dalton Creek Road, and that's what I knew. And I tried to be the best I could be at that. And then there was a time in my life where I was fly fishing and then ultimately some guiding and tournament fly fishing. I tried to be the best I could be at that. Then bass fishing and then offshore fishing and this and that. And, you know, there's commonalities between all fish do the same things for the same reasons. And that's another story. But you want to look through those keyholes, right? And every person looks through these keyholes. It's like bass fishing or this or that. And the kind of end of that is, what we often as an industry look through the keyhole is, and I'm guilty of it, so I'm going to call myself out right now. So I look through the keyhole of tournament bass fishing because I love it. But that's not all fishing is. That's not even all bass fishing is. It's honestly a pretty small portion of bass fishing, especially with all the things we've talked about. There's a lot of people that move the needle that don't give a rip about who won Angler of the Year or who's won the Classic or who's going to win the next Classic. I'm not saying we forget about them because I'm telling you right now, I love tournament bass fishing. But we always assume it's kind of like the boat talk. What's your favorite boat? Hell, ask them. It's whatever boat they have, right? So your favorite thing is the thing you love. And if you're a tournament bass guy, every hole you look through, keyhole, is going to be tournament bass fishing. And it's going to be, well, by God, it's ruining the sport and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to tell you right now that if my kid, Jackson, when he's 10, if he gets fired up and wants to go bass fishing because he gets to use the scope, we're going.
Yeah.
Sling the arrows, boys. Bring it on. It's my house. I do what I want. Now, I'm not saying I'm not pro or for it. I'm just saying if the only keyhole we look through is ours and we're absolutely sure that that's the right keyhole, are you really sure? You know, I've challenged myself over the last 10 years. I used to only fly fish 12 years ago. That's all I did. And now I've been fortunate to offshore. I've seen some incredible things. And, you know, all that stuff's different. And I think, what keyhole are you looking through? That's kind of important stuff, you know? And if I'm just looking through the tournament bass fishing keyhole, dude, I'll get fired up. I'm about it. Like, this sucks, that sucks, do this better. Why are you screwing this up? I get it.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. But the world's bigger, you know? So I try to have a little context and just say, okay, what are we doing here? And hell, 5,000 years ago, we were sure the world was flat. Imagine what we'll be sure of next. You
know? They're still here. Yeah. Those guys. You know what? Now we went and got philosophical.
Yeah. That's not what I meant, but that is true too. But,
no, I got what you. So now we've added that deep philosophy. Like we've done the gamut tonight and everything. Alex, let me ask you, because you've been quiet. You've been quiet tonight. What have you taken from the conversation we've had tonight?
Happy birthday, Alex.
Thank you.
Yeah. What have you taken from it?
A lot, honestly.
Put it on you, son.
A lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah, I've taken that. I need to change some things in my YouTube channel. I know that already.
Yeah. Taking the suggestions that he's making and all that.
100%. And but he's right about the keyhole thing, because deep down, I don't give two shits about tournament fishing.
You don't.
I don't care who wins the elites. I don't care who's doing Angler of the Year.
Right.
The reason that I watch it now is because we've got so many of our local guys on it, right?
Yep.
Otherwise, I don't care. And most of the people that follow me and that I'm friends with, they don't care either, right?
Mm-hmm.
They want to see what everybody else is doing.
Yeah. I got you. So cranking and yanking, no, we're not talking on. This is not a forward-facing sonar show. You came in a little bit late. This has been a lot more. It's come up a time or two, but that's not the main topic tonight and all that. But you know what? So this conversation has helped you realize some possible changes you need to make in your content and how you view things, which goes back to you talking about, are we giving people something when we do something like that? So you were able to learn something from our guest and everything tonight, which means, Paul, we're on track tonight then, right?
We're crushing. Hey, man, like this thing's not bigger than any of us. That's the truth. Like, stay small enough to be nimble, smart enough to be seen. There's still plenty of room for hustle and heart and a damn good hook set. You know what I mean? Like this thing ain't bigger than us. So
right.
Don't miss.
I think that is the perfect way to end it.
No, it's not.
Is it not? Is there something else?
Yep. There's one more thing.
What is it?
I'm ready. Let's talk. What are we doing?
I need you to describe the coined phrase Bourcqtivity.
Oh my God. Okay.
Bourcq. Oh, you mentioned that to me earlier today. What is Bourcqtivity?
All right. Bourcqtivity.
Glad you brought that up.
Bourcqtivity is just mayhem activity. So as I've spent we didn't even get into it. We'll save that for another show. I've filmed or fished in more than 20 countries, all over the place. I mean, all over. I've seen some crazy stuff. Some of the stuff I can't even tell you on here. But what happens has always happened with me, and it gave me perspective. Bourcqtivity is whatever could go wrong, did go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about flat tires. I'm talking about wrecked car on the way to Lisbon, Portugal in the airport. I'm talking about didn't have a house, met a fisherman, stayed at his house. I'll just not in this country, in Slovenia. Like if it could go wrong.
Remember the wrong boat? We picked up the wrong boat.
Wrong boat for the boat show. Stole a boat very successfully. That's another story for another time. But it's like, it builds resilience, and Bourcqtivity is just a combination of all the crap that goes on. And it's like, I just don't get worked up by that stuff. Again, aggressively executed common sense, like keep a steady hand on the wheel. Part of it's about owning your own business. Like you think it's about strategy and all this stuff. It's not. Like you have to know that stuff. It's really about solving problems you've never seen under pressure, you've never felt, and nobody's coming to save you. That's the facts. It's like turning chaos into order and navigating it with no map, no lifeline, no guarantee that like ain't nobody coming. Expect to self-rescue. It ain't clean. It ain't a polished highlight reel, and it will break you again and again and again. And you either give up or you just keep pressing ahead. But that's the point. Like it forces you to develop, I don't know, clarity and discipline and precision to do the right thing and make the right choice, even when everything's falling apart. And to me, that's that kind of like guiding principle. Like up until this job I've had, nobody told me what to do. Like I didn't get some awesome like direction. This is what I need from you to be successful. It's like sink or swim. And my very first, it didn't happen in comfort. It happens on the edge. It's like my first time with Drift Media. I started this media company. Clint knows this. I was a cop. A lot of people don't know that. I was making $28,000 a year as a city cop. And I had this dream to like run media and marketing because I thought I knew something. And I rolled up into ICAST, and this is a word of encouragement, with a backpack on and business cards that I printed in Asheville at the Office Depot. And I told myself, I'm going to go get 100 no's today. And if I get 100 no's, I'll get 3 yeses. And I rolled up in there absolutely scared shitless, but confident that I was going to get 100 no's. And I got 3 yeses. I got power pole. I can't remember even what. I landed about 30 grand in business. And that's where progress happens, you know, but it's not necessarily the guys with the best ideas. It's like the guys that can hold the most weight and still execute. And that's what I built my business on, was saying, like, give me the pressure. I will execute. I will aggressively execute common sense. I'll be honorable. I'm not going to burn you. Like, I'm going to do the best I can. Here's the sad reality. Given the opportunity, most people will burn you. Get that. Just know that's going to happen. Don't cry about it. Move on. Like, life's too short for it. I have plenty of times that happen. I won't get into it. Whatever. Like,
we all have, for sure.
We all have. And I moved on and I did the best I could. And I've gotten better. I've screwed up a lot of stuff. I've learned this stuff. I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow, but I trust now, like, my instinct to do the right things. I trust the position I'm in. I most importantly trust my team. So, you know, I've went through all this sportivity and I know, you know, we're going to execute. I don't know what the other companies are doing. I keep up with them, but not tactically what they're doing. Like, I have a very clear vision for what we're doing. And I hope they're paying attention. So,
I hope so too. I can tell you, I am.
Yeah, we'll see.
I am. And what it's funny that you say that, because, like, even with the TV show, people are like, oh yeah, it's so much fun and that looks awesome. They don't realize the 16 hours behind it that was like shit. That's the only way to describe it. You know, it was just, yeah, the finished product looks great.
Sure.
It was hell getting to that point. And a lot of people don't see that. And I'm sure you've experienced that as well. Just listen to some of the things you guys.
I know Clint's this way. I mean, Danny, I don't know you personally, but I sense that you're that way. I'm that way. A lot of people like to, like, tell you, oh, I'm working when nobody's looking or whatever. Like, are you? Like, even anglers, like, dog, if you're duck hunting and deer hunting all fall, like, your competitors ain't.
Right.
So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, I can just speak for myself. Like, my responsibility is to steward these brands that I care deeply about into the future. And it's, but I love where we came from. I know the history of it. I'm a nerd. I feel like I told you, I think about all those guys and I think, would they think I'm doing a good job? I think about it every day. It keeps me up at night, to be honest with you. And I know that I'm prepared for it. All this Bourcq and all this shit that I've been through. Like, I am ready. Like, I raise my hand. I say, let's go. We're going to do it. We're going to make it happen. And, you know, I think that in all this stuff, I think there's a lot of folks losing focus. And
yeah,
if they want to focus on that, that's cool. But I ain't.
It's funny. He said he was a cop. 5 years ago, I was doing heat and air. I mean, sometimes you just got to go for it. You know, storm the gates. Be damned. If you fail, you fail, but you tried.
It's crazy. Like, you think about, I was talking to Clint. He's like, oh, write down all the things you did. I was like, dude, it would sound like the most crazy made up story ever, but it's true. But it's like,
he was a chef at one point.
A chef too?
Yeah.
It's a whole nother story. But I learned, I'll be honest with you, it's the hardest job I ever had. And the stuff I learned in the kitchen prepared me. Without that, there's no way I would be.
Ain't that crazy? Ain't that crazy?
Hardest job ever.
Like, honestly, like, we didn't hardly touch on fishing. Yeah. And I know, like, you were, you know, the coach of, what was it, Team USA fly fishing and all that stuff. So what we're going to do, we're going to get you back on.
Sure. Yeah.
Because, like I said,
we need you in the studio.
Yeah. The next time you'll be here, we can
go bassing for a couple of days.
We can do that. Yeah. Come down and go fishing and all that. But I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this personally. Yeah. Personally for me, and I think for others that are watching, the people that watch this were intent that, because and the reason I know that's because the comments. You can tell when people are listening and when they just want answers. They were listening tonight, and people that will listen to this later will listen to it. But I hate to say this, I never go back and watch my shows unless I'm just cutting up some shorts or something like that. This will be the one show I'll go back and watch.
Appreciate it.
I really honestly think I'll go back and watch, and then I'm going to have 5 million questions for you, dude. So like that. So it could be, it might be a headache, but I want to thank you very much first for getting to meet you. And, can I tell you something, Clint? I sent him a friend request and he accepted it in about 30 minutes. So I got it quicker than you did.
I responded, Danny. Clint, I put him on hold for like.
It was like I hit it and I'm like, yeah, maybe. It was like, hey. Then I was like, yeah. So the Outer Realm with Joe. I always say that wrong. La Barbara. Bourcq is boss. I like that. You need to get a T-shirt. Bourcq is boss. Hefe, you're Hefe.
Hey,
nobody can put that many vowels in a last name
cool.
like the French.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Dylan said, Danny, I've got plenty of face shields. Give it away to the next kid who comes in the store. 100%, Dylan, I will. That's a very good thing. So Paul, thank you for our initial conversation. That's the way I'm going to put it because I'm going to pick your brain about a lot of stuff. So, but thank you for taking the time to come hang with us tonight. And like I said, I was just like, shit. There was just so much to absorb. So much to deep conversation.
Appreciate you, Danny. Appreciate y'all. Happy to come back anytime. I appreciate y'all.
Absolutely. So, guys, with that, Alex and Clint, thank you. And he was your idea. Good job there, Clint.
Yeah.
The guest tonight, Clint. He comes up with a good.
Thanks, Paul, for everything you've done. You've done a lot for me, and I'll do anything for you. You know that.
Absolutely.
It was all worth it.
So with that, we're going to let Paul go. And guys, hey, we appreciate you guys joining us tonight. And seriously, you need to go back and listen to this again, especially if you came in late. If you have a channel and you're kind of wondering what to do and how to do it, that man drops some serious things for you to think about. And I mean, we've had our channel for 5 years, and now, and even with other stuff that we're doing, that I'm sitting there thinking like, I got to watch this one again. So appreciate you guys in the comment section. As always, we're going to be back Thursday night with another episode, another great guest. You guys take it easy. Be safe out there with the thunderstorms, I guess, that are south of Atlanta now. And we'll see you Thursday. We appreciate you.